Hey y'all, Nick's here. Just wanted to go ahead and do an Act 2 video here. Now the problem with Act 2 is that the zone is segregated into two separate paths for the first part, and both of the paths progress about equally, which means that we have to somehow progress through both of them if we want to not get experience starved through one of them. And the way that we do that is we progress through one about a third of the way, then we switch, progress through the other one, clear that out, and then go back to the first one. And I'll show you the path I take for that. I'm just going to run to Crossroads really quick here. See me running, see me killing. It's important to go ahead and kill things while you're running places, especially here because we're trying to split up our experience gain. But more so killing things because it refreshes our Quicksilver flasks. We can't just spam phase run anymore. So killing things is both positive for gaining experience and positive for our movement speed. So I'm just going to murder some things here. If you can kill the boss, or rares that are scary or whatever, do it because they provide very, very good experience. And we're already leveling a little bit behind, which means they're going to provide a lot more experience as well. It's also important to kill rares in this zone because you won't get a lot of your level 22 items outside of Chamber of Sins and Western Forest. Or Broken Bridge and Western Forest. Because obviously those two zones are level 21. So we hit Crossroads. Now we're going to go to Dark Forest, and on our way to Dark Forest, we're also going to continue leveling up. Dark Forest is a level 19 zone? 18. Dark Forest is level 18. It's 2 levels above this one. And it's also a lot scarier than the previous 2 zones, Crossroads and River Crossings. So we're going to want to keep an eye out for that as well. Gonna pass by the Vaal Pyramids, gonna hit the bridge. Whenever you hit the bridge, you gotta find the way around. Yay, find the way around. And you pretty much just follow the road for this one too. Both of pretty much this entire act is follow the road, except for the end there. So, I'm just running along. The snakes are really, really annoying. I hate them. They're also very, very dangerous. So it's important to keep an eye out to know what you're weak against and to know what can kill you. You'll see these snakes are also really, really annoying. Puncture is really annoying. The combination of the snakes and puncture can really, really hurt and possibly even kill you. So just be aware of the risk, be aware of what's going on. Always try and be safe rather than being super aggressive. It's better to lose a few minutes on your time than to lose your entire character, assuming you're playing on hardcore. Now, I found the waypoint. I just followed the road. The road will usually lead to the waypoint. And the waypoint is usually by a second road, and that road will usually lead to both the exit to the zone and Weaver's Chambers, in my experience. Weaver's Chambers is this little white area here on the minimap. You'll always know you're by Weaver's Chambers when you see the white area, so investigate thoroughly, find the entrance, and never be afraid to kill things for experience, especially if they're blue or yellow. Tasty, tasty experience. Also, I just got movement speed boots. Movement speed boots are really, really important. They increase your survivability and increase your clear time quite a bit. It's like having a miniature Quicksilver flask on at all times. And typically, when doing Weavers, the actual boss will be in the worst place possible ever. And as I'm exploring, I see that there's an area below me. So, of course, knowing that Weaver is in the worst possible place at any given point in time, I have to completely switch my path because I'm just going to assume she's down here. Because she's always down here if you can't get there normally. So, going through again, I deal with the Flicker Strike mobs by having some kind of minion or pet or totem or something on most of my characters. This time I have a decoy totem. It's really, really nice because even if they do flicker you, they stop attacking you immediately so you don't get just completely ganged up on. Otherwise, the zone's fairly simple. I'm sure everyone has experience with the Spider's Chambers and how annoying they can be. And for Weaver's Chambers, it's fairly simple. The only thing to worry about is pulling Weaver with a lot of blue Flicker Strike mobs. It's a lot easier if you don't get those as well. But I think there are always blues in Weaver's Chambers. Or like right at Weaver, rather. So, as far as Weaver is concerned, if you get low on life, you can run away. It's not too big of a deal. Slow and steady. You can log out immediately, drop all your items. And before I go back and do the next part, I'm going to go back to Dark Woods and reset it, refresh the timer on it. and that's because we don't want that zone resetting. It's really, really big and can be really disorienting if you don't. You also used to be able to refresh river crossing easily, but you can't anymore. They removed the waypoint, and I would suggest refreshing that as well. But it's kind of a pain in the butt now because you have to run back through town and actually manually go through the portal and manually go back, and that takes much more time. And considering that you're going to be refreshing it multiple times, I don't really think it's worth it, considering that when we go back there we just have to follow the road anyways. So I skip doing that and instead go on my merry way. Chamber of Sins, advice. You should really grab a lightning resist ring, at least one, maybe two, but definitely one. And the reason you're going to want to go ahead and do that is because Chamber of Sins is scary. It's probably the second worst zone in the game, possibly the first worst zone. And that might change with Act 3. I don't really have many opinions on Act 3 zones yet, but this is definitely up there with one of the worst zones. So you see I go back to town and grab a lightning resist ring. I want it blue, so I just drop a transmutation orb on it. No big deal. Transmutation orbs are a dime a dozen. I'm just killing our way through here. Fairly simple. I'm trying very hard to not get pinned in a corner too. Usually you want to try and avoid this zone. The reason why I went ahead and killed as many rare and blue mobs is because I want to skip most of this zone and all of the next zone. I don't want to be leveling in Chamber of Sins 3 for sure, and Chamber of Sins 2 can be pretty bad too. I do get a few fairly lucky pulls here that aren't too dangerous, so I do go ahead and clear those for experience. And so I have a place to retreat if I need to clear the next few zones. When you're looking for the entrance here to the final boss, it's just a long, narrow hallway. As soon as you see a long, narrow hallway, just go there. You'll find it right away. It's a very good indicator. For Fiddleitis, just don't be too risky on him. He can hit really hard. Lightning Strike got nerfed, so it's not insane anymore, but it's still pretty ridiculous. Now we're going back to Dark Forest, and now we're going to Western Forest from Dark Forest. You see the zone is still there because I refreshed it 2 times, and that did wonders for my time. I just follow the other path I didn't take on the road, and it leads right to this next road. Pretty convenient. And now we want to do 2 quests here. We want to grab the Graven Artifact and get our reward from Bestel in Act 1, and we also want to kill Alira. Now, I don't really have advice for finding Alira. I haven't found anything that works for her. I usually end up clearing the entire zone and then still not finding her. So, I mean, if you have any advice for finding Alira, I would love you forever. But this is the one part of Act 2 that I find absolutely aggravating, is clearing this entire zone forever. It's stupid. She's never on the road. I can never find any way of getting her conveniently. But, whatever. I'm going to follow the road here first because I know where this quest is, and on the event that Alira is on the road, it'll save me some time. But, of course, you know, she's never on the road because she's a jerk like that. For the exploder mobs, I recommend equipping a fire resist ring because they can explode for like a quarter of your health if you're not lucky, so, or not a tank, so a fire resist ring goes wonders. Miles? It goes wonders. Yeah, that's a new phrase. I'm making it so. These guards hit really hard. If you manage to get unlucky with like a physical damage aura, they can be kind of a pain in the butt to kill. So I usually just kind of ignore them if that happens. Otherwise, obviously clear the zone. If you're searching, you might want to take off your chest. I put it back on briefly here to kill this increased damage mob because it's scary. And then I run out of inventory room to take it off. And whatever, I could drop something, I don't really care. And I end up searching the entire zone for this stupid thing. And in my experience, she's always in the last place you look. And by last place you look, I mean the last possible place that you are physically allowed to look ever. Like, you can clear the entire zone, and the very last little corner of the map is where she is. Man, you see I cleared the entire top portion. Nothing. I'm pretty sure I waste, like, the 12 minutes I went over in this run, in this zone alone. And it's really aggravating, but, well, whatever, what are you gonna do? I usually want this run to take an hour. It took an hour and 12 minutes. Oh well. More wasting time. Oh look, there's this one area I haven't cleared. Oh, she's right here, of course. Now for Alira, you want to keep fire resist rings on at all times, because her corpse explosion deals fire damage, and if it crits it will either kill you or get you really low, and you're in a really dangerous position otherwise. So, go about your way, hit things with your mace. Conserve your flasks the zombies will give you a little bit of charges, but your life flask will deplete really fast. So it's more of an endurance fight than anything else. When you're done, log out. We can go back to Act 1, grab our reward, vendor my spiked maul that I wanted to keep. Whoops. Now we're going to go back to Crossroads and go kill Kraityn. Keep your fire resist ring on for this zone as well, and this boss as well, because explosive arrow deals a lot of damage, more than I think it should, but whatever. Do a quick pop back to town, refresh our flasks, and now we go do Kraityn. I would strongly suggest killing the archers first, or as quickly as possible, because once Kraityn is alone and there aren't any things left, he's really easy, and the archers are the big damage dealers. So we get the amulet, and we're ready to go off to Vaal. Now, the trick to finding the Vaal rooms here in the first zone is to just run along the road, continue on, you know, whatever you're doing, and as soon as you see 2 lanterns on the road with a little broken section on your minimap, that's where Vaal Ruins is. So just go ahead and head in that direction, and you'll find it right away. You see, I see a little break in the road, little cobblestones, and I just run there, and we're good. Now, pretty much any Vaal zone is pretty dangerous. This one isn't too dangerous, but just keep an eye out. Don't be greedy. Don't die. And I'm just going to run through here. The stairs in this zone, you can actually zone in on the stairs from any direction that the stairs are bordering. So there's a little staircase. You don't actually have to go down the staircase. You can just zone in from the side. That's a little more relevant in Vaal Pyramid, but you can shave off like a quarter of a second there. Quarters of seconds matter in races. So just going on our merry way, slaughtering things as we go. You can skip a decent amount of this zone, but if you do, you have to level up in the next zone, and that has lots of annoying little snakes, and they're always rare at all times. I generally prefer to do most of my grinding out in this zone. I don't like snakes. But if you get kind of pinned in a corner, just err on the side of safety. Do your best to not die. And don't go after single snakes because you will never kill them ever. Alright, we're here. The exit for this zone, the entrance to Waterfall Cave, is always on the border between the mountain region and the lake region. So that's a fairly easy way to get it. I think I've only had like 2 scenarios where that hasn't been the case, if any. So just following the lake will usually lead you there the fastest, but we do need to find oak as well. And they recently re-randomized this area, or redid the map, so I don't really have any advice on finding oak other than just run around until you find oak. No. I guess the re-randomization of this zone changed Waterfall Cave exit as well, because that's the mountain, forest, ocean border thing. I guess I was wrong. So I'm going to help Oak, partially because I don't have to kill him, because he's a pain in the rear, and partially because I like the life, and I think it'll really help for Vaal. So I get my new mace, upgrading it. Oh no, here we are. Yeah, see, border. I guess they just changed how the map works. Interesting. Anyways, this zone's kind of a mess. If you are adequately leveled, you can just race through here. I don't like killing a lot of things, but the little ones die really quickly and give a lot of experience. So a healthy balance of murdering the tiny packs and rares and just rushing through as quickly as possible is pretty good. The skeletons are really annoying. Projectile weakness will hurt you quite a bit because it's the equivalent of having a single shock stack, and you can get knocked back. The little yellow bridge I just crossed is always the halfway point, so you'll always cross that through here. And other than that, these bears are really annoying because they make you unable to flask. And just running, there's the exit. Now we're in Waterfall Cave 2, probably the easiest zone in the game, other than possibly Fell Shrine Ruins. Now, these little dinky things on the ground that use phase run crumble. Little vulnerability bears would be scary if the little dinky things on the ground didn't die in one hit to everything. So it's really safe, and if you're behind, it's a really easy place to level. Just in the event that you are behind. I personally don't do any rushing to Zone X to grind out whatever in this or the earlier video because that's boring to watch. I don't care if it's the fastest way or not. It's just kind of boring and not a good token of advice. And just checking my vendors. And now we continue. Okay, Vaal Pyramid time. This is the zone that will kill you, if any of them do. And also the scariest zone. I hate this zone because there are tons of doorways, and doorways always cause desync, without a doubt. So, I really wish they would fix this, but it's not really fixable. As far as exits go, the Vaal Pyramid is always a square, and the exit is always on one of the corners of the square in some way, shape, or form. So that's a pretty good way to figure out where things are. If you hit 2 corners, it's always the third. And coming up is a great example of why I hate this zone and why it's awful. I see that the far diagonal has the map, so I want to get there. I think the entrance is below me, so I'm going to go in here. I'm just messing around, getting a little bit of desync, nothing too bad, punctured, leveling up, and I desync into the middle of a giant crit pack. So it's important to note that whenever you're doing a really risky zone that's prone to desyncs and ridiculous things, that you always be on your best reaction time. I managed to log out without dying there, and I would rather lose like 5 or 10 minutes of the run and log out and make it safely than I would die, because if I die I have to start all over. So just be aware that logging out is an option for you, be aware that you will desync 3 rooms back on occasion, and be aware that Vaal Pyramid sucks, and just don't let it surprise you. It has nasty tricks and stupid ways to kill you, and it will use them all. Other than that, I'm just heading to the opposite corners because I find more often than not the exit is on the direct opposite corner from you. It can be in other ones, but I find those are less likely. Tips for Vaal is melee. Try and have pets. Pets are very nice, specifically skeletons or totems. Whenever Vaal casts minions, he will immediately go down into the ground afterwards, which means you have free kill time. Otherwise, if you want to damage Vaal, only damage him in the middle of his abilities, never at the end, because especially if you're using a mace, your swing time can kill you. If you get caught in the middle of a swing, you will probably get hurt really, really hard. I'm still wearing my lightning resist rings from when I was doing Pyramid because I didn't want to get shocked, and it saved my life earlier. I would keep it on for Vaal, because if you don't have a lightning resist ring, the game can easily bug out and hit you twice with lightning, even when it wasn't supposed to, and you can die from that. Otherwise, if you do get hit by a ground slam, you will probably die, so do your best to avoid it. Kite around until you know he's committed to an ability other than ground slam. Use your decoy totem to decrease the odds that you get ground slammed, and just be, in general, safe. So those are the tips I have. If you found the video helpful, feel free to toss me a like, and I mean, if people like these enough, I can go ahead and do Act 3. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. If you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and describe. Describe. Yes, please, describe. And that's the run. So, thanks for watching. I hope you found something useful out of this video, and enjoy.